All right, yeah, so this is Longchen, the way of abiding, outlining the four great Dzogchen Samayas of ineffability, openness, pure presence, and oneness. And these are four great aspects of our mind. And right now we're on openness, which has been a theme throughout our meditations as well. So just being able to discern when we're contracting and when we're not. When the body's even contracting, especially the nervous system. And then when we're doing our effortless abiding, it's almost like a game of Tetris. You have all these little psychic blocks that you're starting to release and let out of your mind, out of the space of your mind. And they can hide everywhere throughout your body and your organs. And, well, you name it, there's energy and empty space and all kinds of stuff. So we want to continuously just rest into pure presence without that external hooking into phenomenon. We can still have multiplicity while having evenness. Both of those can be simultaneously true. So there's a great evenness in the lack of grasping and contracting. So there's a great openness within pure presence. That's essentially what this portion of the text is about. Okay, so yeah, it's translated by Lama Chokinima, Richard Barron, and it says, coming to the decisive experience. Now, one comes to the decisive experience of openness in the ineffability of outer and inner objects. The decisive experience of openness is the ultimate heart essence. Outer phenomenon are unborn, the scope of emptiness. They are beyond characterization or expression, since they do not abide in any specific way, and neither come nor go. There is no division between inner phenomenon arising and being free. They are like the traces of a bird in the sky. No frame of reference applies. Now, how could that be? It's because of the great evenness that I was describing earlier. So, just like in your dream, there's multiplicity. There are objects, and the subject and object dichotomy plays out within our dreams. We tend to have a subjective experience. It's intricate. We have thoughts about things within our dream and various other dimensions of our mind that we can notice just by analyzing or kind of noticing a dream. But there is no coming or going. It was all just mind the whole time. The mountains, the trees, the cities, the cars, the friends, the people you spoke with. Really, check back last time you were dreaming. It was never not mind. So there was never any arising or ceasing. And there was never any subject and object. Imagine the implications. Imagine the power of this. Thoughts that are giving you a hard time, where are they at? They don't exist. What about thoughts other people are having about you? They don't exist. Where are those at? Even the speech, the actions. So, emptiness is truly has this liberation packed into it. So that's my commentary. Here's Longchen. All phenomenon in the outer environment that manifest in light of awareness are empty, like reflections that are clearly apparent yet ineffable. All inner phenomena are like the traces left by a bird flying in the sky, manifesting as mental stirrings, yet fading naturally from one's awareness. Since these have never existed as anything, consciousness arises ceaselessly within the unborn ground of awareness. So the ground of being, as it manifests, is primordially free of any context in which it can be imagined. Yes, sounds like we agree. Any comments, questions so far on anything? Very well. The Tantra of Precious Blazing Remains states, and that the ground of being manifests as apparent phenomena that are ineffable by nature. It manifests as phenomena that are indescribable, inconceivable, and inexpressible. All of this abides naturally and timelessly in the equalness of the three times. So where that equalness is a reference to the evenness I'm referring to. I hope everybody's able to access that, the evenness, and noticing when your mind is grabbing stuff. Even right now, as you listen to the text, believe it or not, you don't even have to focus on anything. You don't have to, you can just even allow the text to be in your spacious awareness. And you'll be able to read an entire paragraph in a second. Why limit yourself? Why subdivide your mind into focus and attention? So it can be like that. If we get too much like this, like focused on things, we got to back off a little, come into our openness. Remember, the openness holds that, and then you can read a text, or perform a task or something like that, and start to let it all be within pure presence. Very beautiful. So anyway, if you do have inquiries about that, always feel free. And so it says, one comes to a decisive experience of the simultaneity of awareness and emptiness, which is beyond causality. And here are the root verses. Objects and mind, just as they are, and even naturally occurring awareness, are mere labels and beyond characterization or expression. They are free of elaboration. Since, as with space, there is no creator, this is the realm of emptiness, involving no effort or achievement, beyond good or bad, positive or negative, and beyond roots do not apply. Completely spacious openness, the expanse, free of characterization or expression, is timelessly empty, with no question of its being a phenomenon or not. Yeah, you can just scroll on up. It does not partake of existence. In great perfection, free of conditioned consciousness, one comes to a decisive experience of the inconceivable and inexpressible nature. Yeah, and I remember the 55 verses of Garb Dorje were talking about awareness is free of any emperor. Even the emperor of the universe, of the world, is just there to bring you closer to your own liberated mind. So, of course, emperor is a a pretty good translation used by Roger Calvary there, because um, it could mean God, it could mean, in the Hindu deity uh, pantheon, it could be any array of deities that people want to choose from to to rule this world and have created this world. And for some reason, I feel like if we had a pie chart of those people who think that our mind is creating the world, there would be a very small slice. It's very easily attributed to another person or another entity. Somebody else created this. And to me, that alleviates you of power. It, I myself did not, I couldn't fathom that our mind is that powerful to hold up reality and transition through um, worlds and things like that. But yes, Dorje Legpo said responsibility too. It alleviates us of responsibility. We're constantly in a mind state that this is somebody else's doings. And so, in that regard, it takes a lot away from us. We tend to also apply a binary ethics system to the whole thing. So we say, oh, so it's my fault that I'm sick, it's my fault that I'm injured. But if you take that binary morality out of the equation, and you just look at it more like a flower growing, I suppose, causes and conditions coming together, then it's not so bad. You see the mud of your lotus, and you're okay with the mud, and it was always beautiful. It was always great. So I feel like this practice can help you with that, because in small steps you'll be able to prove to yourself that your mind it has a few more dimensions to it, for one, and then there's a lot more to it than our 60,000 thoughts per day that we have about it, and our 45,000 words that we know in the English language, which I don't know. I think it could be even lower than that for a lot of people. And I mean, you look at some cultures, like material cultures, and they really endorse like low IQ speaking and thinking, and it becomes almost like trendy to be, you know, uh, perhaps they're just paraphrasing everything. I don't know, but to be a little less than smart, you know. Um, some of these gangster people out there that I see, they're talking almost a few steps above how my dogs would talk to each other. Like it's not a very high level, okay? Um, and I feel like we can't limit our reality to these thoughts and these words that we know, even if we are at a high level of intellect, right? So the I don't know mind it brings us into our whole mind. So anyway, I've probably gone into another extraneous digression of cacophony. But here I shall return to the text.
Could I say, well,
Uh,
actually,
excuse
it
me, Faye.
relates.
One second. Let me let Luna in.
Okay,
I'll be 1 second.
always, always have to pause for the dogs.
Yeah, I think it's getting cold out there. We got some snow yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so well, what you were saying before about being able to listen, listen from the whole mind, the whole awareness, and not so much focus on things. And you said also that a person can read in that way, and I listening to Longchen Chenpa when you read him, or when I hear somebody else reading him, or some of these texts, listening it's possible for me to relax the focus and the analyzing and all that. But I've been really, ever since I've been kind of learning Dzogchen, I've really resisted reading the texts, because in the normal course of things, I love reading, and I did philosophy in university and all that. So when I read things, I analyze, and I've been really resisting reading, just because there's still something in the back of my mind saying, if you do this, you're going to mess everything up. And what I recognize is that if I let go of that idea, I can probably go back to reading again. But yeah, it's more difficult for me.
Oh, so do you think you can um, read the text without the analyzing?
I have I would have to, yeah, I would have to find a way of of recognizing that my analyzing mind is within the bigger awareness, and kind of like living from that. And I'm sure there's a way to do that.
Well, let's give it a try.
Yeah, okay.
Let's give it a try. Can you scroll back up to some of the source verses there? Okay, thank you. So, objects and mind, just as they are, and even naturally occurring awareness, are labels beyond characterization or expression. They are free of elaboration. So, all these objects right now, our awareness itself, we just leave that alone. We don't even calling it awareness is a doing within this ineffable cognizance. So as I'm reading that, if you're resting here in this pure presence, this cognizance, call anything you want, but those are all labels. You see how they're all labels, right? You immediately see how
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
yeah, so you don't need, there's nothing even to analyze. Now, this isn't just for you. I'm inviting everybody to
Yeah.
give this a try because it can be pretty cool. Um, it's almost like you're looking at a mountain and you're saying, wow, it's got snow on it. It's got forest on it. You're that's what we're doing. We're not there's nothing to analyze there. It's just, yep, there's snow on it. Yep, there's emptiness here. Yep, there are labels here. Yep, this is beyond expression. It's the same. And that's what the hard that's my mission, my hard part. That I'm gonna get all 30 whatever people that are engaging in this practice with me right now. I want them to get to that level where when we read these Dzogchen texts, they're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing to think about. What's Dharmakaya? That's the non existence of your mind right now. Sambhogakaya is the alive intelligence of it. Nirmanakaya is the display, the energy of it. Those are just words for what's here right now. And so it is pretty high level to be able to get to that point where words are just complementing your view, right? But there are certain texts that are made for analysis, and there are other texts meant not for analysis. These are direct instructions. So it's more or pith instructions, mengagde, more kind of just to point at the mountain rather than describing or analyzing the mountain's contents. Is that making sense to everybody?
Yeah, and sometimes when I listen, I'll listen, and then something in me will kind of stop listening, and I'll be asking myself, oh, was there like a logical argument in there and I missed it? And then sometimes I realize it doesn't matter if I heard something and I kind of saw something. That's what matters, not whether I followed the argument.
Hmm. Yeah, and there are in certain texts there are these logical arguments and whatnot, and um, so, but the analysis itself, the labeling itself, is okay. We're all right with that too. So if you find yourself analyzing, I think it's fine. It's just that analyzing is ineffable. All right, thank you so much for that sharing. That's a good topic. I like that one. All right, so let's scroll on back to where we were before Faye interrupted us. uh, Here's this. I think we already read that part. Okay, very good. I don't know. Keep going the other direction. The all creating monarch, yeah. So the all creating monarch states, I just think it's so cool that we're reading the all creating monarch by Gaurav Dorje in the other session, and Longchen was here citing it. Who knows how many years later? It could be many hundreds or possibly even 1,000 years. I think over 1,000 years. Of course, because I favor the idea that Gaurav Dorje was around 120 BC, that theory resonates with me more. So, citing every time it says the all creating monarch, it's citing Gaurav Dorje as the original source on that. And remember, the all creating monarch is your mind awareness. So it says, since I am the very heart of everyone's enlightenment, there is no secret source of pith instructions elsewhere. Because I am beyond all exaggeration or denigration, I have decisively experienced all phenomena. Since there is no object, only me, I have also decisively experienced that there is no view to be cultivated in meditation. Because there is nothing to be upheld, only me, I have also decisively experienced that there is no samaya to be upheld. Because there is nothing to be sought, only me, I have also decisively experienced that there is no enlightened activity to be sought. Because there is nowhere to abide, only me, I have also decisively experienced that there are no levels of realization on which to train. Because obscurations are timelessly absent in me, I have also decisively experienced that I am naturally occurring timeless awareness. Because I am unborn, the nature of phenomena, I have also decisively experienced that I am the subtle nature of phenomena. Because there is nowhere to journey, only me, I have also decisively experienced that there are no paths to traverse. Because Buddhas, ordinary beings, and the universe of appearances and possibilities all occur due to me, enlightenment, the heart essence, I have also decisively experienced timeless non duality. Because I epitomize naturally occurring timeless awareness, I have also decisively experienced that I am the supreme lightning transmission. Uh, they're using the lightning connection, that's why it's so fast. All right, we can continue. Because all phenomena are none other than me, I, the all creating one, am the decisive experience of everything. The heart essence of phenomenon is awakened mind. The world of appearances and possibilities, whether of samsara or nirvana, is naturally manifest empty form. The ultimate meaning of indivisible openness beyond the realm of the imagination has been explained in this precious commentary that analyzes the second topic, which is openness. Victorious ones of the three times, masters of awareness, guardians, accomplished yogins, together with the multitude of oath-bound ones, faithful and fortunate individuals of the various highest acumen, and hosts of dakas and dakinis, rejoice in this, or I should say, rejoice in this. uh, Sorry, I was proud of myself for pronouncing acumen right. But here, I want you to note that there could be some interesting information, um, because it sort of tells all the practitioners. So the victorious ones are the three times. So those are the ones that really disseminate a new path and on a grand way that lasts, hundreds of years to thousands of years, or create a significant mandala in a sense. But then there's masters of awareness. This really applies to you all, okay? And I know a lot of you are just getting into this for meditation, and it does have all these relative conventional benefits for sure. So you won't be steered wrong, but at the same time, you're also flirting with enlightenment. So just know that this is the true path to some real enlightenment stuff. And that right there, masters of awareness, it does mean you. If you've connected with this, you know, it's actually quite significant. There are many texts about that. That if you've made even the slightest connection with this nature of your mind, awareness, even if the dog has looked at you while you were resting in awareness, the dog benefits, right? And even the flea on the dog benefits. Here we have no fleas, but I think you understand. That's one thing about New Mexico up here in the north. No fleas or ticks. All right, yeah. So rejoice, everybody. That's a big difference for me. In Dzogchen, I've been given permission to smile again, to be light, to be happy again. I know sometimes I bring in the mantras, and sometimes I bring in some tantra stuff, but usually not. I keep this view pretty bare bones, and I hope you can too. Always keep the view very naked and pure. Everything should just be an ornament essentially to that. And this is not a belief system. There's absolutely no practice associated with this. It's just this constant releasing into openness throughout your body, all these various tight spots and holdings, contractions. That is, you can feel grasping. And as you let it go in your neck and shoulders, you'll notice it in your nervous system and muscles. As you let it go in your nervous system and muscles, you'll notice it contracting within empty space. You'll notice that there's energy there. There's a psychic body here that's also contracting stuff. And so as you notice the psychic contractions, the more subtle, I suppose it's all psychic in a way, but as you notice the more subtle contractions, then definitely you'll notice what they call self, conditioned self, and self grasping. And then you'll definitely discern the complete meaning of grasping itself, so samsara itself. And it's very tempting to go into our various contractions. And so we just know when we're in them. And it's more about the felt experience. When you're thinking a lot, it's not about what you're thinking, it's that you're contracting, you're grasping something, and you can feel that. So, as masters of awareness, which is probably what I'm going to start calling you all, You'll be able to see these very subtle aspects of your experience and the very subtle release, right? The cessation. Now remember, the text say that things will come, they'll stay, and they'll go within your awareness. But when we complicate them, as they call it in psychology, or we grasp it, as they call it in the Dharma, now they're coming and they're really staying for a while, right? Not going. So aware as we just bathe in awareness more and more, these things that we've been holding for a while start to release down to throughout many dimensions of the mind and psychic dimensions that we can't really find, and throughout the heart and the spine, and the lungs, the cells, and wherever else they're hiding, we're gonna smoke them out. Those who know what that was a reference to, I'm sorry. So here, yeah, rejoice in this. Let's leave it at that. From the precious treasury of the way of abiding, this is the commentary on the second Vajra topic, reaching the definitive conclusion concerning the supreme and uninterrupted openness of everything. All right, we did make it through the second topic. Thank you, Yeshi. And then we're on to pure presence after that. Spontaneous presence, very good. So, thank you everybody for another hangout today and exploring the Dharma with me. I appreciate that. And are there any comments, anything on your mind before we? No, go ahead. Alex, you've become unmuted.
Yeah. Actually, I think here on page 163 was another place where the monarch actually refers to itself as like whatever it was. I forgot exact wording, but
Nature of mind.
nature of mind. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you found it on page 63.
163, right? We went through it. Experienced us. It was experienced us, nature of mind, or experienced us, something like this.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, you probably know that finding that definition is valuable because it's like a little gem in there because it finally defines the Kunyagalpo for us, doesn't it?
In general, it's actually spectacular that, like the text, the Garab Dorje's text, right? The one that your mind, well, nature, the mind speaks to you.
Yes, yes. That's the
It's kind of,
Kunyagalpo. Yeah, yeah. I still don't know what that's called when you're having some outside perspective as the narrator. I know there's a word for that in movies, probably. If you all think about it, think of it. Let me know. It reminds me of like Field of Dreams, where they have a narrator or something the whole time. Okay. Anybody else have anything before we check out today? Yeah, third person omniscient. That's the technical term, isn't it? That sounds good. Thank you, Cameron. Somebody award him 10 minus karma points.
That's so funny. Him and I were just talking about that yesterday. Um, I was going to ask, I was noticing tonight in Tai Chi, I was almost becoming compulsive about it. I was like, am I holding? Am I letting go? You're not holding. You're not letting go. You must. And then the word would come to my mind, relax into awareness or let go. And it became kind of like compulsive. And I was like, this is not letting go. Is it letting go? So this, I'm assuming that's kind of a natural pattern. Does is there just a way? I mean, does that just resolve? Does that sort of,
Yeah, there's only one step in letting go.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like if I'm clenching my fist right now, there's only one step, and that's
Yeah.
the release, right? The stopping of that holding.
Yeah, I felt like I got caught in a loop for a little while, going, "Hey, you're not letting go."
Yeah. You're brave because you do this on coffee, so your mind's going to be a lot faster. I don't mean to throw you under the bus or anything, but I personally I remember drinking coffee and doing this mind science stuff, and like the difference between when I was drinking coffee and when I was not. And it's just from a totally honest point of view, the mind is a lot faster, so it sneaks up on you a lot quicker,
Mhm.
right?
Well, I can make an experiment out of drinking less coffee to start.
Well, it's up to you. It is also on that note. I've noticed that you can conquer that gravity. The thing is, like a thought, some sense, something will come up, and rather than it floating by when your mind is slower, see, at a normal pace, let's say there's some thought that you have, like, let's just take chocolate. I want some chocolate. Your mind will say, well, yeah, I do want some chocolate. It's about at that pace. On coffee,
Mhm.
chocolate, yup. You see? So it's very difficult to get the gap.
Mhm. I get it. And I'm gonna give it a shot. I do drink too much coffee. I got a coffee pot in the classroom, so
Oh,
I'll give it a shot. I'll get
you're
more
gonna be
sleep.
you're gonna have to go to CA now.
Coffeeholics.
But
All right.
I don't want to discourage you at all, brother. You can totally. I feel like your insights, everything is still valid, and it's almost like the more adversity that we have, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So don't pressure yourself to get off coffee or anything. Just know that it's gonna lessen that gap between your thoughts and your grasping.
Mhm.
Um, but that's why you probably got in that loop, because of the gap was too small there.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in today?
I went at a point to a monastery that served everyone tea constantly. So you were always caffeinated. And they counteracted this by teaching you to move very slowly. So the whole time you're there, very, very slowly. If it takes you 20 minutes to get to the bathroom, you're doing it right. It's very funny to be
Wow.
on caffeine and moving slowly.
Wow. That reminds me of the turtle joke. You guys remember the turtle joke? The tortoise joke? All right. We're going to end on the tortoise joke. So there's this ex-monk who was one of practitioner of this slow movement method. And he got a job at the zoo, and they put him in charge of the tortoises. And the zookeeper left for the day, and when he came back, the tortoises were all over the zoo. And went up to the guy and he said, "What happened, man? How'd they all get out?" And he said, "I don't know. I opened the gate and whoosh." All right, very good. So we'll end it here with a little moment of silence for the dedication, okay? Deep bow to you, everybody. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Have a great day, okay? See ya.